To have Ryan Clark join us this morning on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, the Super Bowl champion. Good morning. I want to get your thoughts on the suddenly back on track. I understand who the opponent was yesterday, but the suddenly back on track Baltimore Ravens. What do you got? What do you see?
Well, listen, man, if the Cowboys defense was a vaccination for bad offenses, it would be, for bad offenses, it would be the exact thing we need to get rid of COVID, because the Cowboys defense cures all ills. Like when you play against this team and you can run the football, we saw it against the Cleveland Browns and we've seen it against some other teams. You can have a lot of success against the Dallas Cowboys. So basically the Baltimore Ravens came out and did what they had to do. And now you look forward to the rest of the season. Obviously you have the Bengals, you have the Jaguars, but you also have the Cleveland Browns. You also have the New York Giants that are suddenly a very competitive and tough team to play as they lead the NFC East. And this is about making the playoffs for the Ravens. It doesn't matter if they played better last night. It doesn't matter if we could see them being a better team going forward. If you have the reigning MVP, if you have Super Bowl aspirations at the beginning of the season and you end up not making the playoffs, that is a failure. And so to me, it's good that they got back on track. They got some people back healthy that were able to play in this game that weren't able to play in last. Obviously, Mark Andrews has to come off the COVID reserve list as we're going forward. But if you don't beat the Cleveland Browns, if you don't beat the New York Giants, and the playoffs start with 7 teams and one of those teams aren't the Baltimore Ravens, for John Harbaugh, for that organization, this entire year is a failure.
Do they make the playoffs, Ryan, with all that being said?
I don't think so. I think they end up being on the outside looking in, probably that 8th team. And, obviously it depends on what some other teams do. But I believe that the Cleveland Browns beat them. And I think that the New York Giants are going to give the Baltimore Ravens all that they can handle. And to me, if they lose 2 more games, they find themselves right on the edge, sitting at home watching the playoffs with us.
RC, how surprised were you watching your Pittsburgh Steelers take the L against the Washington football team on Monday night?
I was surprised. I thought the game would be close. I said it would be close, but I thought at the end of the game that the Pittsburgh Steelers would make the critical situational football plays to win. And you go back into that game, it's 17-17 key. Obviously, Alex Smith and the Washington football team get the offense rolling in the second half, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. They throw a quick sprint out to Juju Smith-Schuster. That pass is broken up, and then they decide to go empty formation and throw a back shoulder sluggo to Anthony McFarland, who is your 3rd running back, also only has 5 catches on the year. You fast forward that, now you have a 3rd down situation for Alex Smith and the Washington football team, and they go to a slot fade or a Taiwan route to Cameron Sims, and they hit it with a one-handed catch and a perfect throw. And the Washington football team made the plays to win that game. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't lose it. But Key, when you look at the Steelers, it's about how do you fare against the AFC's elite. If you can't run the football, if you continue to lose important pieces on defense, I think this is an 11-0 team that starts the season that may end up losing 2 or 3 more games down the road and actually go into the playoffs limping.
RC, them getting James Conner back, does that help cure a lot of the ails?
Because of James Conner's story, you want to say that he has like a big impact to play, but he'll be okay. He'll run better. I think getting Marquise Pouncey back is huge. Obviously, he's been gone for the last couple of games. I think he's the guy that Ben has a great rapport with. He's the leader of that offensive line. He makes a ton of the calls. I think that helps as well when you get James Conner back. But remember, those guys were playing, or those guys started the game when you couldn't get 4th down conversions or 4th and 1s or 3rd and 1s against the Dallas Cowboys a few weeks ago, where Big Ben and Juju Smith-Schuster had to come and bail those guys out late in that game. And so I just think this run game is something that they've abandoned. Anytime you throw the ball 53 times against Washington, it says that you're doing a little bit too much in that part of your game plan. So the Steelers really need to nail down a way that they can get a run game first and then move to some play action and not have to go so many spread and empty formations, exposing Ben Roethlisberger to getting further contact or to getting hit in the pocket.
Last night, RC, we're sitting up watching the Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens game. Like many, you were doing the same thing, and Dez Bryant was not on the field. He was pulled off doing warm-up because he tested positive for COVID, which was pretty strange. It reminds me of what happened with Justin Turner, the 3rd baseman of the Los Angeles Dodgers that was taken out of the game.
Yeah.
What did you make of him being pulled doing warm-ups?
I mean, Key, if you get the test back, you have to pull him. for what I hear is because the Ravens are super close to their testing centers, that they were supposed to get those tests back tomorrow morning. And he had an inconclusive, and then he took another one that said he tested positive, a rapid test that said he tested positive for COVID. It's actually kind of scary. You know, you almost wish that they just wouldn't have pulled him and just tricked us and pulled the wool over our eyes because, listen, Dez Bryant was on the field pregame. Dez Bryant was hugging members of the Cowboys staff, warming up with obviously players in his locker room and on his own team. And so that's scary. It's scary to know that even with the constant testing that you can have a guy preparing to play a game who is COVID positive. And I think, you know, on the other side of it, the football side of it, sucks for Dez, don't it? Like, it seems like dude can't catch a break. He's obviously getting opportunity to play against his old team. He's extremely excited. And it's not like they told him in the morning or they told him the day before. You've gotten to the stadium. You know, you probably took you some Zip Fizz or some pre-workout. You're fired up. You got your Juvie and the Hot Boys on your headphones. And then they come get you and tell you can't play. Like, that has to be a difficult situation for Dez. And so the way that the whole thing transpired is definitely strange. But the NFL says, you know, it contact traced. It did everything that it possibly could to make sure all the players were safe. Obviously, it just sucks with the timing for Dez Bryant.
But did they do that, RC? I mean, you talk about contact tracing after he's already hugged all these people. Like, how can you properly monitor the situation? Did the NFL handle this correctly?
You know, I mean, from a perception standpoint, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at the perception standpoint, we supposed to Utah Jazz it, right? We supposed to run on the court and say, hey, you can't play this game, right? Like that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to feel that way in the moment that something catastrophic happened because this guy was on the field. You know, I think that's the way you would have liked them to handle it. But if you have half a brain, you understand how money works, you understand how TV works, you understand that the NFL is driven by money and TV, then you understand why they played the football game. And, you know, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions asked about this. Dez actually asked it on Twitter last night. You know, I think he had him a glass or two and he was feeling kind of frisky. So he said, how y'all playing the game if I've been out there hugging people? He had a little hate on his heart, you know what I'm saying? But if you got hate, let it out.
Hey, RC, me and you, we should get into college coaching, man, because you can get a job in college and you can go less than 500 and get an extension. They talking extension with these coaches that can't win games.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh, right?
Man, let's just get into coaching, RC. Win 3 or 4 games a year and get big money. I done seen it all in 2020,
like
man.
Us, brother.
Oh, I done seen it all in 2020.
Just keep graduating those guys. Those general studies degrees, bro. Those general studies degrees.
Kinesiology.
Ryan, thanks. We'll see you on Get Up with Greeny and the Gang coming up at the top of the hour on ESPN.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right,
RC.
Same to you. Ryan Clark joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils made from natural gas. Gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proofs in the Pennzoil based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W.
Only in America.
30. Thank you, Don King. All right.
I can win 5 games to get an extension. That really goes great.
Or you can make more money by going to an NFL team after that.
Well, he's a better NFL coach.
And then fail and go back to college.
I wasn't just talking about Harbaugh, though. I'm just thinking in general. Got a break.
Got a break. We're going to fill in the blank. Simply put, we're not going to ask the 4 teams that will make the college football playoff. The guys are going to tell us the 4 teams that should make the college football playoff. That's after Jay has this from Shell.
Look, your day is busy.